Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the May 9th Planning Board meeting. I'd like to start the meeting with Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A few announcements. The emergency exits, for your information, are on your right and left. The restrooms are out the door to the left. Please sign the attendance sheet that's on the back table if you haven't yet, even if you're presenting or appearing before the board. There are also business cards with contact information next to the sign-in sheet in the back if you're for the planning department. Also on the back table is a copy of resolutions that will be read this evening with the agenda. Please silence your cell phones or turn them off. And if you have any conversations, please take them outside so you're not a distraction to those who are appearing before the board. We have 2 meeting minutes for approval. The April 11th and the April 25th meeting minutes from 2023. Does anyone have anything for Lisa? Ernie?
Nope.
No.
Al and Joe?
Nope.
No, sir.
Okay, so I'll take a motion to approve both meeting minutes.
I'll move.
Al moves.
Second. Oh,
Ernie seconds. All in favor?
aye.
5-0, carried. Correspondence received. None for this evening, other than what's been in your packet. Board and committee updates. Ed?
Just several items, just for more of awareness than anything else. Tim Terranova presented last night his presentation on the school budget, which is coming up for vote soon. So make sure everybody gets out and vote. 7200 Rawson Road, that's going to be a zoning change from light industrial to a planned development district. The application was deemed to be complete. It's being referred to both this board and the county planning board, so they'll be coming before you soon. Town board will serve as the lead agency for that application and the local law relating to the change to the PDD. Also, next week, on Wednesday, the village ZBA is actually going to be here in the main meeting room because they're anticipating a larger crowd for that one project that we talked about in the past that's going in where the library property, they had hoped to acquire that, and now there's another developer coming in. So they're going to hold village zoning in the main meeting room here next Wednesday.
Okay,
I think that's it.
great. Any questions? Thank you.
Yep.
Kim?
So your next meeting will be May 23rd, starting with a public hearing for the Davis Pole Barn, which was tabled from the April 25th Planning Board meeting. They're located at 1155 Hunters Run, and the applicant is requesting approval to construct a 1,400 square foot pole barn with a height of 17 feet. Second public hearing will be for Verizon at 600 Fisher Station Drive. It's a site plan application, and they're requesting approval to modify antennas on the roof of the existing building. They're removing some units and then adding some new units. And then another Verizon application, which is located at the 490 exit ramp up on Route 96. It's a new utility, 55-foot wood utility pole with a mounted antenna and equipment there. And Mobile Graphics at 7120 Lane Road. It's a site plan application. Applicant is requesting approval to demolish a pre-existing barn and construct a 7,400 square foot building to support their existing business operations. That building would include two one-bedroom accessory apartments. That's before the zoning board currently. Then we have 7200 Rawson Road fill at 7200 Rawson Road. Applicant is requesting placement of fill material of approximately 42,000 cubic yards on a 10.3 acre site. And as Ed mentioned, we would also have the recommendation to the town board for 7200 Rawson Road on the PDD district. Any questions?
Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome.
So we have 6 items before the board this evening. First one is not a public hearing, but it is a request for a waiver. It's the Negrin driveway waiver at Piper Meadows, 7152. The applicant's requesting a waiver from the design and construction standards to add a turnaround area closer than 10 feet to the side setback and for the width of the entrance to his driveway to be 21 feet, not the standard 20 feet. There's someone here for that? Come on up. Name and address?
Yes, 7152 Piper Meadow Drive. Jay Negrin. It's under J-E-U-E-L, but I always go by Jay.
If you could pick up the microphone
Sure.
a little bit, it's a little.
I'm not exactly sure how this procedure goes. I did send all my information to Mrs. Boughton. And just to give you a short story on this, so we just moved in. The house was built. I went with Morel, and we chalked out my driveway. So by no means, I didn't have any intent on having my driveway be the way that it ended up being. So we chalked it out, and a couple days later, it was compacted. I plan on doing a in-ground basketball hoop, and of course, it goes on the edge of the driveway. That next day, Morel had called and said, hey, by the way, you're out of the standard. So I said, well, I don't know the standard. I just kind of we chalked it out, and it was compacted. So I just went along with it. So they said, well, now you're going to go have to see the town. So this is all a surprise to me. I thought that they were doing what they were supposed to be doing. But at this point, I already have the hole dug. The concrete is in for my hoop. And I was hoping that we could just proceed as things have moved forward as up to this point.
Okay, thank you. That's, open it up to the board. It's, like I said, it's not a public hearing, but they may have some questions for you.
Sure.
Start on the far end there with Joe.
It sounds kind of like bad luck more than anything else, right?
Yeah, it seems like.
I noticed there's a note from your neighbor. The neighbor has no objections to the change.
No problem.
I'm good. Thanks, Joe.
Okay. Al?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, as long as the neighbor doesn't have an issue, I'm fine.
All right. Scott?
Same.
Ernie?
Same with me.
Thank
Okay.
you so much.
As with me. Kind of almost a formality this evening with this one, but I appreciate your being able to get here and
Sure, thank you, folks.
this, and we're certainly glad to help out. Sure we can.
Much appreciated. How should I move forward? Should I contact Morel, or do I get something official that I could show them and say, hey, I'm A-okay with the town?
Well, you'll certainly get the resolution as it's approved this evening, which I'm presuming from what I hear it will be. And then I don't know if the town needs to issue a letter for that.
I will email
Perfect. Awesome.
Then you can go to the builder and say, here,
All right.
it's
Good deal.
approved as you've laid it out.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Am I all set?
Yeah, well, let me go through the
Oh.
resolution as a
Perfect.
matter of process. So for the Negrin driveway waiver, 7152 Piper Meadows, whereas a request was received on May 3rd from Jewel Negrin, property owner of 7152 Piper Meadows, for a waiver to the design and construction standards to allow turnaround be added to the existing driveway to be 5 feet at the closest point, whereas 10 feet is required to the side property line, and to allow the driveway entrance at the road right-of-way to be 21 feet, whereas 20 feet is required. Now therefore be it resolved that the planning board waives the town's design and construction standard driveway layout detail RS6 to allow the proposed turnaround to be 5 feet from the property line, and also waives the 20-foot required width for the driveway entrance to be 21 feet at the road right-of-way. So do I hear a motion on the resolution?
So moved.
Joe moves,
Second.
Scott seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried 5-0, so
Thank you very
You're all
much.
set.
Appreciate it. Have a great night.
you too. Item number 2 is a public hearing. Johnson Pole Barns, 7355 Dryer Road. Applicant is requesting approval to construct a 2,100 square foot pole barn with a 720 square foot covered space. Good evening.
Hi, I'm Peter Johnson of 7355 Dryer Road. Looking to build a barn. It's a 40 by 60 pole barn. The covered space is a 12 by 60 lean-to on one side. Got 8-acre property. It's wooded and not very flat, so the location that we picked is fits the criteria best for both of those. Don't have to do any excavation, and there's minimal trees to be taken down because it's was partially cleared by a previous owner, so it's pretty simple.
You have a pretty unusually shaped
Yes.
parcel.
Yeah, very
Um,
deep.
Understand where you're headed is, this is a public hearing, but we'll start with questions from the board. Ernie, comments, questions for the applicant?
I would just ask, Al's probably more familiar with this than any of us, because right in his neighborhood.
That's true. I could start with Al if you like.
Well, I don't have any comment about the request.
Okay. Okay, Al, you're
Yeah,
up.
so, no issues with what's being proposed here. Again, it is a very unique shaped lot. It's well wooded and concealed from the road, so I don't have any concerns with it, other than if there's any, where you're planning on building any standing water or anything that would,
No, nothing in the area.
Joe?
The Conservation Board noted that the lot is pretty wooded and recommended limiting the removal of trees. Could you comment on that or tell us what exactly is going to come out?
Yeah, there's about, there's 4 trees, and one of them's actually, the largest one is actually already dead. So they'll be coming down, and then we'll put up, even though it is heavily wooded already around it, we'll still be putting in more to replace what comes down.
Okay.
Bennett?
I'll have-
Okay, Scott?
Is there an existing residence there at the south end of the lot?
Yes,
So
it's in the flag portion.
is this subject to a front setback or subject to a variance?
They received it.
Yeah,
Received it?
they
Okay.
received it from the
Okay,
zoning board.
okay, so then I don't have any issue.
Okay. I guess I'll open it to Wes if you have any engineering concerns or comments from Labella.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, Labella did issue a letter dated April 21st, 2023. We did have a few comments to which the applicant has responded. We were curious about grading, right? Because the application, the information that was provided didn't show that any proposed grading would be done, but the applicant has responded that excavation would be limited to prepping the land within the footprint of the barn, and no grading would extend beyond where the footprint is. We understand that they're going to be taking out a few trees, right? And adding some trees as well as the applicant has indicated tonight. Comment on roof drainage, and it looks like they're going to be having gutters on the building itself with downspouts directing the drainage to the west, away from the driveway. And they did provide a little bit more detail on the lighting, which is helpful. So we will update our letter just to confirm that our comments have been addressed, but that's in general what we were looking at, so.
Okay. Thank you, Wes. It is a public hearing. Is there anyone from the public, neighbors or otherwise, who have any questions for the applicant or the board? Hearing and seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Bill moves.
Second?
Ernie seconds. All in favor?
aye.
Carried. Public hearing is closed. So, I think I agree with the comments that I've heard, and I don't have an issue with this application. I was wondering about how the electric is getting there. Is it all underground?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So, having said all that, I think we're prepared, unless there's an objection, to move forward with the resolution.
Nope, no
Okay.
objection.
So, for the Johnson Pole Barn, application 11 SP 2023 at 7355 Dryer Road, whereas the planning board made the following findings of fact, and there are 9 of them. Now therefore be it resolved that the application of Peter Johnson, site plan entitled Johnson Pole Barn, received by the planning board April 3rd, 2023, planning board application 11 SP 2023, be approved with the following conditions. Conditions to be addressed prior to chairman's signature on the site plan, that no final signatures will be given on the plans, and that all legal and engineering fees have been paid as per fee reimbursement local law adopted November 25th, 1996. Number 2, that the comments in a letter dated April 21st from Labella Associates be addressed, and Wes just indicated they were, and he's going to follow up with a letter on to that effect. Ongoing conditions, that the site plan comply with Town of Victor design and construction standards for land development, including Section 4. Number 2, that a building permit be obtained for the pole barn prior to construction, and be it further resolved that the planning board secretary distribute the planning board's approval letter. Do I hear a motion for approval on the resolution?
I'll move it.
Ernie moves.
Second.
Al seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried 5-0. So should be all set, and hearing from Lisa.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Item number 3, also public hearing, Toth Sports Edition, 71 Victor Heights Parkway. Applicants requesting approval to construct a 1,350 square footed warehouse addition on the west side of the existing facility for storage of scoreboards and electronic signage. And the owner is T Sports LLC. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Tom Fitzgerald with MRB Group. I'm here representing on behalf of Lance Toth of Toth Sports. Just as the description was, we are proposing for approval for a building addition for a 1,350 square foot building. I know from prior to this, there's been a couple comments that were addressed, both from the town and from Labella. Most of the comments have been issued and addressed, and I believe we sent the comment letter to Labella on Friday of last week. Prior to that letter, we put a disclaimer as well that the owner is proposing to have additional parking located on the east side of the existing building. This is because due to the over parking capacity for employees. He has employees in Rochester as well as in Buffalo that come for team meetings. The other additional thing is having a proposed driveway on the back of the building addition, wrapping around. This is for storage as well as for picking up scoreboard material and certain things like that for picking it up. The existing proposed building addition will match up to the existing building, both architecture finish and building materials. Will be the same height as the existing is. For the lighting, it will be, on the lighting plan, it will be match up to the existing as well. We put both lighting on the north and the south side of the building addition.
Are the existing lights compliant with the dark skies requirements in the town building code, do you know?
Yes, they should be.
Directed downward, full cutoff light fixtures?
Yes.
Okay. Continue.
Oh, no. What's my... I think that's pretty much it. I know we granted a variance setback for 13.9 feet back in January for the building addition. Aside from that, other additions would be relocation of the existing sign. Dumpster will be relocated to the northwest corner of the proposed building. I think that's pretty much all that's been addressed since.
Okay. Questions? Actually, Wes, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, sure, thank you. Labella issued a letter dated April 21st, 2023, to which the applicant has responded. Most of our comments have been addressed, right? We asked about lighting, they provided a lighting detail spec sheet. They're going to be removing maybe one tree, maybe there's a couple trees, they did respond to that. Pavement detail, erosion control notes. We do need to follow up with closing the loop on our comments, however, and with the updated plan that was provided late last week, we haven't yet had an opportunity to review that, so there might be some other new comments that come forward. One of the things that we did notice is that the drainage is changing just a little bit compared to what their initial plan showed, and I wanted to ask the design professional here, what's going on with drainage kind of behind the building? Where it looks like it's heading towards the private drive. And then I was curious, does it head northward then after it heads east behind the building?
Yes, so there's a catch basin along that private drive, so the swale will go around to the south side and get to the existing drive, and there should be a catch basin along the road. Oh.
There's a pointer right here.
Oh.
Yeah, you can wave in the air, it doesn't work very
Yeah,
well.
right.
Other way.
There you go.
So yeah, there's a catch basin around here. The drainage will go around here, swale off, run off here, and then go towards, I believe there's a detention basin located more north up here.
Okay.
Wes is looking at a drawing with contours on it. I don't know, Susie, do we have that, or just the
Just that
plan?
one.
Okay.
That's fine. That's fine. I think that's a good description. I see we've got silt fence on here on the east side of the building. I'm not sure if I see it on the west or southwest corner of the building, but we can follow up with you on that. The other question I had for you is on the east side of the building, there's a concrete sidewalk it's an existing sidewalk to remain, and it looks like the new asphalt pavement would butt up against that. Is there going to be a new curb that's installed adjacent to the existing concrete sidewalk, or how would that work?
There will be no additional curbing to it.
Okay. So your accessible route is going to almost remain the same as what it is today?
Yes.
Okay.
How does that work without a curbing? An interesting comment.
Yeah.
Because you got, if you're going 6 inches below the sidewalk, you're below the bottom of the concrete sidewalk. Wouldn't you need a curb along there to protect from erosion underneath or pave up to it?
You can match flush.
I know.
Yeah.
You mean that, so pavement we flush with a sidewalk, is what you're saying? Okay, as long as it's graded away,
Mhm.
right? Okay.
Do you think that's what is proposed here? Is this going to be the asphalt's going to be flush with the concrete sidewalk?
Yes, it'll be flush, or even the asphalt might just be maybe an inch below.
Okay, we'll follow up with some other comments. I don't want to take too much time now. So there'll be some follow-up that Labella will need to do, and we'll issue another letter just to make sure we're all set.
So for everyone's information, this is before the county, so we don't have a resolution for approval this evening, but we certainly give you an opportunity to address any questions from the board or the public, so go down the line here. Al, questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
Joe?
I was looking at the difference in dates between the original questions for Labella and the additional for the driveway, so Wes has addressed those.
Okay, thanks. Scott?
I just had a couple of comments, and I don't know, perhaps the plans have changed since, I just have this sheet, which is C 1.0. One general observation is, if you would label the street that is associated with this development, that would make it easier for us to understand where it is, in addition to a location sketch. That would be helpful too.
Okay.
It's on another sheet, and I just didn't see it, but generally speaking, those are two items that are awfully handy when you're looking at a site plan. The one thing that jumped out at me is the southwest corner of the building, where you have a spot elevation of 575.44 draining to a spot elevation of 575.40, so you've got 0.04 elevation difference between those 2 points. That would seem to not really achieve positive drainage as I think we're supposed to achieve. That seems to be an area, especially if snow plowing occurs, which I suspect it will for the neighbor next door, you could get a buildup of snow in that area, and the snow would likely be above the finished floor elevation that you're showing there. My recommendation would be if you could put in some type of a swale or enhance the swale that you show there, to have perhaps a stone invert or something like that that would convey ponding water away. I see that you're trying to cut into the slope at the property line, so it's a tight fit, but nevertheless, that's an area that could be problematic, as I see it. My other comment would be associated with the sidewalk that was just mentioned and the flush approach. I guess it might be handy to show spot elevations there where the handicap stall is, so that we can judge how that comes together and also conforms with the ADA slopes.
Would it be okay to have a parking stop?
Okay with me. I just think when I look at what you have here, is that existing where it is right now? Is that handicap stall existing, as shown?
Yes, that's the existing grade.
So if that's, I mean, if it's all in conformance with ADA, then that's fine. I wasn't sure based on what we were speaking about with pavement matching the sidewalk. I would just enhance it with some spot elevations, just to show us what's going on, so it's a little more clear. If you want to put in something like that or propose that, that's fine with me. I think from a planning perspective, the project makes sense. There's really no issues with the theme of the project. I thought if I were the owner of this property, I'd like to make sure my building was high enough so I didn't get water coming into it.
Agreed. Good comments. Thanks, Scott. Ernie?
I understand from your application that you're storing equipment outside in the elements right now?
As of right now, there is equipment outside of certain
Seems to make
scoreboards.
sense to have an enclosure that's covered from the weather. So I think this would probably be just the thing.
I agree. I think it makes a lot of sense from a planning perspective.
Okay.
I just don't want their equipment to get wet.
All right. The only thing I had a question about, and I think I may have found the answer, is green space, because you're adding quite a bit of impervious space to the site. Commercial, light industrial is 35%. It looks like proposed, the result will be at 60% still, is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay. I was wondering if that 60% was before you put this addition on and wrapping around with parking, because it seems like you're taking away a lot of green space for this project, so that's fine, as long as it verified that. So, as I said, this is not ready for approval of this proposal, so we have to wait for the county to come back with their comments, and we'll see you probably next time at the next board meeting.
All right.
Right?
Thank you.
Oh, question. Sorry, I did not open it to the public. So let me do that now before we move on. Is there anyone from the public that has any comments or questions for the applicant? So, thank you, Wes. I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing at this time.
Move.
Al moves.
Second?
Any seconds? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, carried 5-0. So, public hearing is closed. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next application is the Gilmore Site Plan, 7234 Valentine Road. Owner George Gilmore, applicant is requesting approval to construct a single-family residence on lot number 6 of the Valentine Meadows subdivision. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Tony Bingo from Anthony Bingo and Son. Brendan Marks from Marks Engineering was supposed to be here, but he had a family emergency, so he's not here. So I'm here. I'm the one who's going to be constructing the home, hopefully on this site, and that's what we got. We're looking to build on lot number 6. Pretty much, it was sold as a approved lot. And when we got into it, we realized it had to come back in front of the planning board. And I believe Brendan has answered questions that were asked of him and is satisfied. So if you have any other questions, by all means.
So this site development was approved with the divisions of the parcels, but they were required, if constructing houses on the back lots, to come before the board for approval of the site plan. So that's why he's here. So it is a public hearing, but I'll start with the board. Joe? Questions?
I'm curious about the area marked solar and how big an array that's going to be.
It's proposed. George already has the, this is the owner of the lot. He already has the solar panels from a previous project.
Good evening, George Gilmore. I have 9 480-watt panels,
Okay.
and whether we put them on the shed roof and partial house roof or ground mount them, we're not sure yet.
Okay, I support that. I think it's a good idea. I'll defer to the town engineer if there's an opinion on rules or ideas or code that dictates placement of those.
Wes, you want to?
Put you on the
I'm in, or
spot.
you-
Oh, I'm on the spot,
Should be on the
yeah,
spot.
that's okay, that's
So
quite
I
okay.
do say that, I see that you have a 15-foot setback line, and it looks like it's labeled as 14 feet wide, but still meeting or matching the location with of the setback line from the property line, from the, I call it the easterly side, I think it is. If north is to the left in this plan.
Yeah,
That's correct, yeah.
I would have a suspicion that likely you would simply need to follow the setback requirements for the zoning district that the property is in. I can verify that with the code enforcement office,
Yeah.
and
Absolutely
if there was
fine.
anything in particular that needed to be addressed, we could certainly bring that to the applicant's attention.
And that's all I've got.
Al?
No questions. We did extensive site plan reviews over an extended period of time, so I'm comfortable with this.
Okay. Ernie?
Is there any, well, you're in lot 6, right?
Yes, sir.
It's not near the barn. I forgot to bring my glasses with me, so I can't see these little numbers.
The barn is by lot 2, which is
Okay,
south and west
so
of
this one
here.
doesn't affect that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I have.
I remember we reviewed this when it was proposed as a subdivision. I'm just taking a quick look at the engineering comments. Wes, did we, is there a drainage plan for this project, or did it come in under the threshold for stormwater?
Boy, that's an excellent question. I have forgotten where we left that.
Keith is going to jump in here.
There we go, we have the
All right.
stormwater program manager.
Keith Maynard, the Stormwater Program Manager. There is SWIP coverage for the overall subdivision in Comark Holdings' name.
Okay.
What is the plan for stormwater control on this project? Is that, I mean, I don't see anything.
There's a pond across the road.
No, it was because of the total area disturbance when the subdivision came through as a whole, similar to like the Scout projects.
Okay, so they don't have to do anything? Is that what you're saying?
While there's SWIP inspecting and erosion and sediment control, but yeah, there's no, if I remember right, there was infiltration trenches. In fact, I think you went through with your comments.
Yeah, that's right.
But there's not a stormwater facility, I don't believe. It's been a while since I've looked at the plans as a whole, but I don't think there's a stormwater facility. But there is SWIP coverage that, as the house gets built, you know, erosion.
Then I
and sediment.
guess I was just curious where those stormwater infiltration areas are. Maybe I can't see them.
So this is coming back to me now. I do remember requiring the applicant, at the time when final subdivision approval was provided, there were some stormwater infiltration trenches that were required, and that roof leaders had to be tied into the storm infiltration trench in practice. So I think I could probably even bring up the approved plans that might depict where these are if you're interested in seeing them.
I seem to recall that's what we looked at as well, and I think maybe they fell just below the threshold of 5 acres disturbance, and so is the stormwater infiltration trench shown on the site plan that's being presented tonight? I guess that's my question.
I'm looking through my drawing here too, so.
I don't see it, so I guess I would ask it to be shown.
Retention pond.
No, there's trenches, so this isn't a grading plan, though, so it doesn't show it.
Basically bring leaders all the way around.
Is it shown on an overall site plan, Keith, do you know?
Yes, it is on the overall site plan.
Okay, does it,
On the
how would we
grading
know
plan.
what's being constructed is not intercepting those or somehow invading those trenches?
I believe Labella had a comment about putting the roof leaders into the trenches. It's been a while since I've looked at the
Okay.
overall grading site plan for it.
I'm just trying to make sure that the builder, when they come in to they construct the structure, that it's not over top of,
Right, well, when the building permit comes in,
Yeah.
the site plan that comes in with the building permit, the code enforcement officers will compare that to the overall site plan to make sure that that's all correct.
right? So hopefully you as a builder would have that information. You're not putting a house right where it's not supposed to be unless,
I'm assuming the pad where the house is going to be is not where they're calling for those trenches. The trenches, then the leaders will come all down, the conductor system will go around the house and wrap around, and hopefully we've got enough fall. Obviously, you must have enough fall to have these come off and drain away from the structure, so.
Yeah, the site plan with the building permit will be compared to the overall approved
all right.
site
We'll
plan.
work with the town, whatever they need.
If there's comments, they'll be sent to them and
Yeah.
addressed.
okay, great, thanks, Keith.
I think with the presence of a sanitary leach field, that you'd want to show it on there because the two can cross-connect. It would also seem to me that it should be shown on the plan that we're being asked to approve.
I think that's fine. I think we can ask the applicant's design professional to depict these. That's fine.
And that would be a
That way
condition.
Everybody knows what's going on right out of the gate and where things should be.
Good point.
I don't think it should be a heavy lift, right? Because I'm looking at the final subdivision plans, and they've got a detail here for that typical storm infiltration trench section. And I'm not seeing it right offhand, but I do remember seeing it on the utility plan.
I remember we talked about it when it was in the subdivision stages. And I think they did some testing to confirm the soil.
Okay, why don't I bring this up? And, Susie, can you switch to my graphic here? It's going to be hard to see. So this is a signed Mylar from the final subdivision plan for the Valentine Meadows. And I'm going to try to point out on here. So Lot 6 that we're looking at is right here. That's what we're looking at tonight. So this was not an engineered lot when it came before the planning board back in 2022.
Okay.
These frontage lots, the lots that fronted on Valentine Road, have storm infiltration trenches. It's a pink line right here, and then there's another pink line, let me make sure, right there.
Yeah.
Right? And those are designed to convey water away from the house and allow for infiltration into the ground. So we don't have information for this lot because it wasn't designed at the time. However, I think we could ask the design professional to include that sort of thing on these final plans. I think that would be wise.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of commonplace as I've seen it, for various site plans in various towns, in Ontario and Monroe County.
And here's here's a detail sheet from the final subdivision plans, and it shows your typical, your storm infiltration trench detail right here. And I remember we reviewed that back at the office with Mary Stubline and Steve Metzger. Yep.
I assume there's a calculation to tell you how long this pipe's got to be and all that?
Correct. And, yep, the width, the size, the diameter of the pipe, the material that's surrounding the pipe. Yep, absolutely.
Okay. It shows 12 inches with 4-inch inlets for, leaders from the drainage, roof drainage, but
Yeah.
I don't know how long they need to be, so presumably there's a right way to do that. That would know.
I mean, that's kind of the convention that we've been working with, and I think, as I recall, I'm trying to remember the Vickers standard, but I think it's a certain storm duration, perhaps on the impervious area of the roof, whatever volume of water that generates. I think that's,
Actually, I think it may actually show this on here, Wes. There's this, I don't know what that line is, unless that's a drain.
Yeah, that may
It's that purplish
be.
line, but it goes from the garage corner under the sidewalk to the, we'll call it the southwest corner of the building, then northwesterly.
is it visible?
Yeah, on one of these drawings, I think it's the second one of the set that we got. And Wes was pointing out those purplish,
Yeah, there is a depiction
Lines.
on Lot 6.
the C200 drawing.
So I guess, and they even have the detail here as well.
Right.
So,
So it's on there.
yeah.
Starts at 7, that's,
We'll reconfirm the
Yeah.
length and the size and
Sure.
make sure
Just
we're
call it
okay.
out then,
Yeah.
with a descriptive note.
there may be,
And we did ask that, so that was one of LaBella's comments from our May 3rd letter, number 11. Stormwater management, we asked the applicant to include a note on the grading and utility plan indicating roof leader, well, I guess roof leader must be tied into the storm infiltration trench / practice.
okay.
Oh.
It appears that they've at least depicted it on the drawing, if that's the correct line, because the ones you showed on the original plan were the same color. Note 11 is on there, Keith? On that same drawing, 200, I think?
Yeah.
Hard to read because it's small, but yeah, note 11 on the grading and utility plan
4-inch.
says, new 4-inch SDR 35 PVC pipe, storm pipe from downspouts to 60 linear feet of infiltration trench, and goes on from there.
Okay, yep, I see it. So, Wes, they got it.
That's right, I see it here.
Good
So
job.
that's, yeah, it's referenced in the Marks
Sorry, that was
Engineering
hard-
May
that was
4th
hard to
letter.
read.
It's good to be thorough.
Okay.
Solve their own problem.
We got everybody on the board? I think we did. Okay. It is open to the public. Anyone from the public have any comments, questions? Hearing none. Entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Joe moves.
Second.
And Ernie seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried 5-0. Public hearing is now closed. Anything else, Wes, that you wanted to bring forward?
Yeah, I'll just mention again, our May 3rd, 2023 comment letter had a number of comments. A lot of them were very technical in terms of the septic design and details, all of which the applicant has generally addressed. And I think LaBella, we're pretty satisfied with the Marks Engineering May 4th response. So we will update our letter, and I don't see, there's no showstoppers in my mind in terms of the responses we've received, so I think we're set.
Great. All right, so I think we're able to move forward with this resolution, which I will read. For the Gilmore Site Plan 7234 Valentine Road, whereas the planning board made the following findings of fact. There are 7 of them, including the letter that Wes just referred to. Now therefore be resolved that the application of Tony Bingo's site plan entitled Gilmore Site Plan drawn by Marks Engineering dated April 4th, 2023, last revised May 4th, 2023, received by the planning board April 5th, 2023. Did that want to be me? It says if it was revised May 4th, should we have it received by the planning board after that date? Or is this, am I missing something? Yeah, so the original one was April 5th, okay.
And then they revised it.
All right. Planning Board Application 15 SP 2023 be approved with the following conditions. Condition number 1 is standard. Condition number 2, and these are conditions addressed prior to the chairman's signature on the site plan. Condition 2, that the comments in a letter dated May 3rd, 2023 from Labella Associates be addressed. Sounds like most of them have. Ongoing conditions that the site plan comply with the Town of Victor design and construction standards for land development, including section 4, and number 2, that a building permit be obtained prior to start of construction. And be it further resolved that the planning board secretary distribute the planning board's approval letter. I hear a motion for approval.
I'll move it.
Moves.
Second?
Ernie seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. That's good. Yeah, that's, I was going to suggest, but I figured. We have 2 more items on the agenda remaining. Number 5, the DOM site plan, 7246 Valentine Road, owner Grace Walker. Applicant is requesting approval to construct a single-family residence on lot number 7. Well, this sounds familiar, of the Valentine Meadows subdivision. Well, you saw how that one went. Good evening.
Evening. My name is Jeremy Doms, my wife Gracie Dom. Yeah, we're planning to do the same thing, build a house.
All right. Anything special you'd like to?
Hi, neighbor. First time.
Gonna be your neighbor.
Yep, they will be your neighbors. Well, this one's the site to the east,
Yeah, lot 7.
yeah, lot 7.
We're
West
on
side,
the
sorry.
other
Yep.
side of the creek, yeah.
Got it. Anything notable you need us to know, or?
Same thing, except for on our master that he emailed us, our pink line that you guys were talking about goes like this and then that.
Okay, it may be on the next drawing.
Maybe it's on the next one or whatever, but the copy we have.
That's
we
probably
gotta-
on 200 also, if that's,
Yeah,
what-
so it's from here, around it, and that goes right into here.
okay.
If you need to see a picture of it, I have it.
No, I think it's the same one. The other one's just enlargement or focused on that site. But you're right, I'm looking at your drawing on mine. It's C200, same, and it's got the purple line as you're describing.
Okay.
So, same piece, and I'm sure it's noted in here.
Yep.
I was going to look for, I was on note 11 also, Keith, is that what you just said? Yeah, okay, perfect. All right, so, questions from the board? I think we just went through this, but, Joe?
I have nothing.
Al? Nope. Pat?
I think I know where the pink line is now.
All right. Ernie?
Same here.
All right. Wes, anything you need to,
I do have a question, though.
oh, sure.
How come it's labeled the down site plan, but the name Grace Walker appears?
She,
Yeah, we just got married in September, so I haven't
Okay.
changed my last name officially yet.
yeah.
Congratulations.
She closed on the lot before we got married, and then we got married, so.
Oh, boy.
There you go.
Here's your answer, Ernie.
I guess that's it.
He is, I tell
I
you.
was
What's what happens when you have
I was
lawyers?
wondering the same thing.
Wes?
Labella issued a letter May 2nd, 2023. The applicant's representative has responded. Generally, we're satisfied. We will update our letter to confirm that all of our comments have been addressed. One comment I'll make regarding seeker, and this goes for the last application, I failed to mention that. Both of these applications were, the Gilmore and the Dom site plans are both type 2 actions, so therefore no further seeker review is required. And also, the planning board went through an extensive seeker process when you review the overall subdivision. So that's it.
Okay, great. Anything from the public for the newlyweds here? Sounds like you're going to have a nice neighborhood. So with... Having said all that, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll move.
Al moves.
Second.
Ernie seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried 5-0. Wes, anything else before I read the resolution? Okay, so, having heard all that. So, resolution for the Dom's site plan, 7246 Valentine Road, application 14 SB 2023, whereas the planning board made the following findings of fact, and there are 7 of them. Now therefore be resolved that the application of Jeremy and Grace Dom's site plan entitled Dom Site Plan, drawn by Marks Engineering, dated April 4th, 2023, last revised May 4th, 2023, received by the Planning Board April 5th, 2023, Planning Board Application Number 14, SB 2023, be approved with the following conditions. Number 1, for conditions to be addressed prior to chairman's signature on the site plan. Number 1 is standard. Number 2, that the comments in the letter dated May 3rd, 2023 from Obella Associates be addressed.
That should be May 2nd.
May 2nd. Okay, you got it? Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Wes. Is that same for number 7 also? Okay. And ongoing, that site plan comply with Town of Victor design and construction standards for land development, including section 4. Number 2, the building permit be obtained prior to start of construction. And be it further resolved that the planning board secretary distribute the planning board's approval letter. On that resolution, do I hear a motion?
I'll move.
Ernie moves.
Second.
Al seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried 5-0. Good luck.
Thank you.
Item number 6, and the last item for this evening, Ridley Site Plan, 7896 County Route 41. Owner is Brian Ridley. Applicant is requesting approval to construct a single-family residence on Lot 6 of the O'Neill subdivision. Is this before the county? Yeah. Oh, okay. I could ask them to close the door, but Kim's running down there to get it.
I know.
He loves doing this.
He's at the
Got it. Okay, so yes. So there's no resolution this evening, as Lisa was updating me on. It's at the ZBA for May 15th for a barn forward to the front line of the house. So with that, good evening.
How you doing? I'm Brian Ridley. Nice to meet you. So,
Welcome.
hoping, I apologize, my designer was supposed to be here with me. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it. He's out of town. So I was hoping just to get some more answers, trying to answer everything that you guys have sent to me with your questions, so, and get some more resolution both on your end and my end, so I have a better understanding, to make everything meet what you guys need, so we can move forward, so. Again, just looking to build a house with an in-laws quarters attached by a breezeway. I did apply for a variance for the pole barn in front of the house, with the understanding that I would have to apply for that because it's not, it would need that. Basically, this has been like a big jigsaw puzzle out there with the landscape of the land. We love the characteristics of the land. Going into buying the land, we knew there was the 50% conservation easement. We want to keep everything as natural as we can without having to move as much earth as we possibly have to excavate. This is what we came up with, being most feasible. Originally, I would have liked to have had a pole barn in the back northeast corner of the lot, but with there being almost a 20 to 25% drop off there, or feet, we would have had to excavate so much earth to flatten it out. Plus, it would have led into erosion into the conservation easement, which we don't want to do either. So tucking it kind of behind the front hill. And as you can see, I have a driveway which is kind of meandering up in between the valley of the hill, the two hills forward. So I was hoping with it being in front of the house, tucking it behind the hill would make it, I mean, it's not going to be less visible, but coming eastbound, there's a house on the corner of Strong Road and Boughton Hill, so, which kind of blocks that view. Westbound, you really don't see it at all. It'd be more coming up Strong Road that it'd be noticeable, but this also is proposed, that pole barn there is 40 by 80 by 12. That would be the largest I would go. I went that route because I may build smaller. But I want to go to max, so I wouldn't have to come back saying I want 20 by 20 and go bigger. The only thing I had is I had updated this, and I apologize, with 4 kids trying to run around the sports. I was trying to get down here to drop up an updated one. Do you mind if I
I don't know.
hand these out?
Pass them out?
The only thing I added to
Hang on, before you keep talking, you can pass them out, then tell me what you added, because you won't get on the microphone otherwise.
Thank you.
There's nobody here from Taylor Road.
Yeah.
All right, so the only thing really that's added on here is a future pool directly behind the house. And then, as one of the other people had here, solar panels, future solar panels, which is in the back northeast corner of the lot. Didn't know how to propose that on there, so it's just written in there.
So you're on a downslope going northeast with solar panels that need to be facing south. You don't, I guess I'd wonder if that's going to be a problem. I mean, that's not a thing that we'd have to worry about, at least in terms of approval, but it just seems like not the best place for panels, but if the only place you can put them is on that part of the lot. Certainly don't want them way out front, I wouldn't think.
Right.
So,
And that's where the drop-off is, so my thinking was with them being back there, they're tucked away, they probably wouldn't even be visible.
I mean, your house is facing north-south, you know, it's pretty nicely. I don't know if the roof line is going to be amenable to solar panels on the roof itself.
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Standing on the land and watching the sunset, and I've been out there in the morning, I've been out there at night, kind of seeing the trajectory. Actually, the house we would have loved to have actually had turned a little bit more, you know, so we could sit on the front porch for sunrise and sit on the back deck for sunset, but it's not feasible with what we had to do, so we had to square the house up. So I think it would work back there. Again, it's proposed. I want to have it in there just
Sure.
so it's there.
Oh, that's fine.
And you guys have a full understanding of everything, the whole scope of the plan.
Thank you. Wes, any comments you would like to start with?
Yeah, we have a few concerns, and not necessarily showstoppers, but something that I think we need to have a conversation about. The septic, we've had just a few comments on septic, but aside from that, wanted to talk about the driveway slope and the proposed grades. So one of the comments that we made in our May 3rd letter was in regard to the driveway slope. There's some areas there that appear to reach 16 to 20%, where the town's design and construction standards limit the maximum driveway slope to 10%. So that would require a waiver or potential modification to the design of the grading. But I think it might be worthwhile to have a conversation with your design professional as to if that driveway slope was going to be modified in such a way that the grade wouldn't be so steep, is that going to require a greater area of disturbance, right?
Correct.
Because you brought up a good point about not wanting to, you want to kind of keep the character of the land.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, definitely.
And so rather than make the site completely flat or require a larger amount of grading, I think we need to have that conversation, maybe with your design professional, as to, maybe he can give the planning board an idea of, well, it's going to require another 3/4 of an acre of disturbance or an acre. Maybe that's way out of character or way out of context or scale.
And a little bit, I had spoken to him with trying to get some answers for this.
Okay.
We talked about the driveway, and that was one of the things he actually wanted me to ask you guys was, because we knew we were already kind of over the limit
Yeah.
for disturbance already.
Yeah.
And that was his biggest concern, so.
Okay.
Is that a fire department issue, that kind of grade and the size of the driveway? Because it's a long driveway for one, and then if you have the steepness in there,
It's a very steep lot. It's almost, I think it's almost 30 to 40 feet from the top of the hill, the highest point of the hill behind, and which is in front of the house, to the bottom,
Yeah.
to the road. It's a big drop.
I don't remember if the town had referred the application to the fire department, or actually, the fire marshal may have made some comments. I don't remember, but it
don't
might be
remember seeing
worthwhile
that.
to get some comments on the driveway.
yeah, I would like to hear it.
Yeah, I mean, so it's not unheard of, right? I know the planning board has issued waivers in the past for driveways exceeding 10%. Have they gone all the way to 16 to 20%? I don't believe so, right? Maybe 13 or 14. We would have to kind of research and check and see what the fire department requirements are.
And I think the steepest part is once you get up towards the pole barn, just past the pole barn, that's where it really starts to take off and go back up the hill.
Yeah.
You know, we could probably swing the driveway out more, if it's too close to the hill in front of the garage, the pole barn, to limit that slope, but I'm kind of concerned about the slope once we get past the pole barn there, because that's where the land characteristics really take off and it really starts getting steep.
Anything else, Wes?
We'd like to see some stabilization, and that can be done either with some shading and a note, perhaps, for your design professional. Stabilization of grades, 1 vertical to 3 horizontal or steeper shall include additional measures beyond simply seating. Let's see, splash blocks, specification legend number 7 indicates roof drops shall discharge to splash blocks. The town's design and construction standards generally require provisions shall be made for disposing of roof and basement drainage into the storm sewer system. As further mentioned in the notes, the planning board would be required to waive this requirement to allow the use of splash blocks or other methods. In no instance shall drainage from splash blocks impact adjacent properties. I'm guessing that it's likely you wouldn't be impacting adjacent properties. I suspect that infiltration is pretty good out there. But yeah, I guess we're looking to get a response from your design professional to our comments, written responses, and if we need to have a conversation, we can reach each other on the telephone to talk particulars about grading and that sort of thing.
And I apologize for not trying to get these, I wanted to have some, but I didn't want to show up here,
Yeah.
at all either, so.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Wes, you touched on the septic system, the leach field, but that was one of my major questions, honestly, is why is it way over there? It's a
Yeah.
long drop, you're cutting through a steep, a tall, you're going up and then down again just to make a trench for the pipe, and it doesn't look like any disturbance here, but, you have to cut a pretty deep trench to get through this hill in the middle of the property. And I would, I guess, echo your comments about getting to the design professional and say, hey, why are we doing this? This disturbance right here,
Right.
that's like an 8 or 9 foot deep trench right there, if I'm reading this right. So 840 is the elevation at the top, and you're going down to 825.
Yeah.
All right, so it's 15 feet, not 8. So it's quite a large cut. And so to me, that's a big disturbance if you're doing that. If you're a one-on-one cut, for instance, you can't do a 15-foot trench for a pipe like that without either a trench box or open cut. So why wouldn't they have gone like straight down along the driveway even, where you're disturbing it, and then put the leach field out where the flatter area is toward the front? And you're right, also, you're in the conservation easement.
Yeah.
So those things just jumped out at me. And
We can talk with the applicants, who was it here? Greenland Surveying, they did your drawing? I
Yes.
mean, we're happy to have a conversation with them, because I don't know, maybe it's just the difficulty in the layout of where you're putting your house and trying to deal with the topography, and it's very unique, right? It's not a flat lot, so it presents some challenges.
I just remember when we had that conversation about the geothermal out in Fishers, I think it was, and the applicant, the homeowner had no idea
Right.
what the disturbance was going to be with 8-foot wide trench, 8 feet deep. It was insane how much disturbance there was. Every tree had to come out, I think this is all farm field, right? Or at
Yes,
least open. But it was still a huge amount of cut, earth moving, everything else. You have no idea how much earth cut this is. I mean, yeah, the finished grade's gonna look the same, but that's a lot of trenching to me for a pipe to get from a septic tank to a leach field. So I would push back a little on that, honestly.
Okay.
So, and see what we can do to improve that disturbance, by reducing it and realigning where that leach field goes. And you see what I'm talking about, moving this down.
Yeah.
Joe, I just want to chime in that the conservation easement does allow wells and septic systems
Okay.
within the easement. So that septic being within the easement is allowed.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you. I was going to say, I just didn't know when I should chime in to say
Yeah,
that.
no, that's fine.
Thank you.
We have so many different, we have 3 different
Yeah, no, yeah.
conservation levels, so.
I get it.
Having said all that, it's still a lot of disturbances. That was more of my concern, I think, than interrupting a grassy area with a leach field, which is going to be a grassy area when you're all said and done. So I just wanted to touch on that, and so I guess I should open up to the rest of the board. Start at this end. Scott?
Well, I guess I had the same question about the leach field and the conservation easement, because I wonder what we're conserving in this particular case. Also, the grading on the other side is taking place in the conservation easement as well, so in my mind, it just begs the question, what is the conservation easement doing? It's more like a glorious setback that just seems to affect only buildings then.
That easement probably says you can't mow it in the long run, I'm assuming.
Correct. Yeah, that's what I've been told.
So
Yeah.
disturbing it for construction isn't bad, as long as you're not putting any structures, or you're not, you could plant trees, of course, but I think that's about it.
And I guess the other observation I have with respect to the steep slope on the driveway is that I think the reason it's steep is because of the conservation easement and the driveway trying to agree with that. Whereas I think if the driveway shifted to the east, it could swing and become more of a switchback and get more length, and then you could transition the grade to achieve a lesser slope. It might be the case, as we did across the street, where the conservation easement was modified to agree with a better fit. When these came in, as you may or may not recall, there was no design that went along with it. It was just a subdivision, so they just offset the lines and away they went until they hit the 50% threshold. Now that you see the design, it might warrant changing that so that the driveway could have a different approach, different connection, to gain more slope to get up there and take the steepness out. Those are my comments.
Okay, thanks, Scott. Ernie?
No comments from Taylor Road?
No additional comments.
So the easement is a site-specific, and it prohibits certain structures and things like that. It allows removal of deadfalls, it allows mowing, but no motor vehicles and that. So it is designed to accommodate things like we're talking about with the driveway and that. So I'm okay with that.
Okay.
And I do appreciate what you're trying to do to fit the homes and the buildings to the properties. That part of town with the drumlins and all is that's
it
a nice
hasn't been easy.
characteristic.
We've changed the plans 3 different times.
So yeah, I appreciate what you're doing with all this.
Thank you. Well, and that's the whole thing, is we want to keep, that's why we bought the land, because of the beauty out there. And we hope everybody around us keeps it the same way, so, and in all reality, the pole barn being in front of the house, I would never want it that way. I would never envisioned it being that way. I always envisioned it being behind the house. I don't want to worry about my cars, my collector cars in front of my house like that. But, you know, it's the most feasible to make it work inside of what we're trying to accomplish here and without disturbing, like I said, as much as we can. And, you know, we want to keep, you know, everything looking, you know, aesthetically pleasing as well, you know, between the house, the in-laws quarters, and then the pole barn, everything being, you know, in the same color, the same type of siding, you know, so everything blends in together, you know, I don't want to put a, you know, a yellow pole barn out there and then build a white house, you know, like that. It makes no sense. It destroys the beauty out there, so.
Appreciate what you're doing.
Sure, I'm trying. So that's why I come in here, you know, and any feedback I'll take, you know, negative, positive, whatever it is. I just want to make sure we're doing what we can right to be able to move forward with what we want to do.
Okay. This is a public hearing. We'll ask the public if there are any comments. Is there any interest in leaving it open until they get their waivers, or? All right, I guess I'll entertain it. Motion to close the public hearing then. Ernie moves.
Second.
Al seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, public hearing's closed, and I guess we'll see you.
Yes, I will get these
Next
answers
available
for
meeting
you
that you can-
ASAP. And then I'm sure I'll have to be back and I'll make sure, hopefully it doesn't interfere and I have him here with me so we can really hash everything out.
So the takeaways, I think, from this meeting are to address the driveway,
Yep.
the leach field, in general grading of the, you know, the alignment of the driveway as part of that driveway question. Wes, anything else was there? You know,
I think those are the major topics. And what I would suggest is when you get a chance to talk to your design professional, suggest that give us a call, Labella. Have him call me. Kim can, if you don't have the number, I can give it to you.
Okay.
And we can talk a little bit more about this, you know, if you want some help with it.
Yeah.
You know, I can help convey some of the message.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
if you ever need to get a hold of people, go right to Lisa or Kim.
Oh, yeah, Lisa and she's very familiar with me.
There you go.
I've asked many questions over the last year and a half.
Very good. Okay.
All right, thank
That's
you
what
for
we
your
got.
time.
Thank you. Anything else, Lisa, on the upcoming agenda or anything? All set? Nothing for this evening? Then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move.
Ernie moves.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Have a great rest of your week.
I guess I didn't see that the